So here what we would like to do is to manipulate an image in Photoshop by adding floral effect. So this is inspired by the artist Marcelo Monreal, who loves to cut off the face and put some effects inside the head or inside the face. So let's open our file, which is this one. And here, yeah, this is the image that we have. And as you can see, I have edited the file beforehand. So I just need to hit open. So when you have to adjust or edit your image in Photoshop, you can quickly do that by just going to filter and camera raw filter and adjust this. So you have under basic, you have exposure, contrast, clarity, and hit OK. So now, first I'd like to make a copy of the layer by pressing Ctrl J on the keyboard, and I'm going to rename this as Carry. Now I have to remove the background, so on the toolbar I'm just selecting the quick selection tool, or any of this will work. Select subject, and Photoshop will select our subject for us. Now I'm going to add a layer mask, and also I have to add a solid color for the background. Alright, this color, I'm gonna drag this under our image, and everything here is okay except for this part of the hoodie. So I'm gonna go back to our layer mask, click on that. So I have to add back part of the hoodie, so I will just use the brush tool and just brush on this part. Alright, that should be fine. Now I would like to merge this visible layer, so I only see these things. And also I'd like to crop the background a little bit and hit OK. So now that we have this, let's go ahead and add our design. I'm going to add a layer using the add layer icon at the bottom. Change this to design, and I will use the brush tool, and I'm just going to sketch the design that I'd like to do here. Just a very basic one, so I just need something to run here, and yeah, something like that. So I'm gonna change the opacity, and I have to use the pen tool to trace this, so make sure that your image is selected. It's not on the design layer, but on carry layer, which is our file. Then on the toolbar, you have the pen tool selected, and just trace this one. So if you need to draw a curved line, just drag the handle to the direction that you want. Okay. Alright, now that we're good with that, let us make a selection, Control and Enter on the keyboard, and then let us extract this file here, Control Shift and J. So this is what we have. This is the extracted face. I'm going to change this to extracted face, and also I'm going to remove the design layer. We don't need that anymore. So here what I'd like to do is to move this, and so I have forwarded this a little bit, so I'm going to make it a little bigger. And there you go. Now I need to select the empty space on the face and then add thickness on the flesh. So how are we going to do that? Click on the image and then press Ctrl and press the image. And there you go, you have it selected. But we only want the empty space selected. So just press Ctrl, Shift, and I on the keyboard, and then add a layer using the Add Layer icon. And now what do we have? We have this empty space on a new layer. So we're going to name this as Flesh. And this one, what we have to do is we can add a fill on this. So on the keyboard, press Alt and back key to add that black fill, but then I'm going to change it to 0 for now. And now that we have that, what we have to do next is to add thickness. So we're going to use the shadow. So here I have the layer style window, and how do you use this? So on the flesh layer, just double click on this part, not on the word, not on the image, but just on an empty space on this layer. Double click, and at the bottom you will see drop shadow. So just open this one or double click that, and now let's change this to the spread to 100% and the opacity to 100 as well. I'm going to zoom the image so I can see it while I am editing here. Now using my cursor, I can move this and going to decrease the size a little bit. Okay, I think we want something like that. I'm going to change the angle. Alright, I think we're good. So I will just change the color of this one. Okay, and hit OK. I'm gonna add noise, and also I'd like to add inner shadow, and going to, all right, opacity should be okay. Size, and okay. Right, now let's add a layer for this one. So I am going to add a solid layer or solid color. Now I'm going to just choose something that represents the skin. I'm gonna make it a little dark. I'm gonna drag this under our file. So there, it's inside. Now what I need to do is I would like to add shadow on our extracted face. So how are we going to do that? Same procedure. Drop down shadow, and I just need this one like this, and so the opacity, I'll change it to normal, and change the opacity. Okay, I think I'm good, so just hit OK. Alright, so next is let's add the flower inside. So what I'll do is I'm just going to open the file where I have the flowers. I'm just going to drag this flower here on our file, and I can add it here. Okay, so open the file and just drag it on our image, and let us resize this. Something like that should be okay. All right, I'm gonna change the name of this one to flower 1, and I'll drag this on top of the flesh and below the extracted face layer. Now I'm going to rasterize this layer. Let me close this one, and what I'll do is I'm going to erase some parts here, and I'd like to make it a little low, and so I'm going to add a layer on this one, and then also I have to select our edge, so shift or control and press the space, and then or the flesh layer, control shift and I. Now go back and click on the layer mask, use the brush tool. So we just want to erase this part of the flower here. So use black as the foreground and just erase this. And also this one. Okay, now that we're good, then here I want the petals to show on the forehead. So I'm going to make a copy of this, Control J, and here what I'd like to do is just to make a copy of this one. So again, Control J, and then let's put this on top. Okay. And here what I'd like to do is This is system glitch. Control J and put it on top, and then click on the layer mask, change or use black for the foreground, brush tool, and just erase these things that we don't need. Okay. All right, now let's add more flowers, but before that, I'm going to add a shadow on our flower. So I'm gonna add a shadow here. Okay. All right, next is adding additional flowers. So I think this one will work. Put it on the image, drag and drop it on the image, and then resize. And so I think this one is okay. Just gonna hit OK. And I'm gonna go back to the flower one copy. I'd like to erase something here for this not to cover our image. So I'm gonna use the brush tool and I'm going to erase this part. So make sure that the layer mask is selected. And yeah, I just want to show this part here. Okay, now I want to erase some parts, so I'm gonna change the name of this one to flower 2 and rasterize the layer. I'll put this on mask again. And same procedure, control and hit the image, and then Control Shift and I, and we're going to erase some of the parts of the flower here. Select flower 2 layer mask, change. All right, so we have black there for the foreground, so we're good. Let's just remove this because we really do not want to cover our main subject. I'm thinking if I have to remove the leaf, or I can keep it there. And then I'd like to add a shadow as well on this one. So can add shadow, double click on that layer, drop down shadow, and I will just minimize the size, and add the distance, and hit OK. So I think we're fine. Now I think we're good on this. I'm just going to add an effect on the extracted face. I'm going to add an inner glow, and this one should be okay. No, it should be fine. I'll just hit OK. And also I can fix some of this. Going to select that layer, this face. Okay. Right, I think we're good. And I'm just going to save the file as PSD. Go to File and Save As. And hit OK. How do you export your file? Go to Export, Export As, and it will export the visible layer. So export as a JPEG file and hit Export. Okay, so this is it.